President and GM Chris Drury fell out of good favor with Rangers fans a long time ago, but a brand new report makes it seem like he is actively sabotaging this organization and this team moving forward. We're going to break down exactly what this report entails and how things might actually get much darker for the Rangers and Rangers fans, all in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we jump into all of that, guys, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. We've noticed that about 75% of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's going on with the New York Rangers, as the draft is just around the corner, it's going to be a busy week. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. It's free. And over on Facebook, the follow button is free. But let's get right into it. A brand new report, an article from Nick Perreault of Sportsnet, reveals a lot of what's going on around the league and some updates from his sources and what he feels is going on. Now, this quote stood out to me above the rest and above most things that I've read over the course of the last week. And of course, huge trade in the NHL with Brady Tkachuk and all that. But check this out. The Rangers had interest in Brady Tkachuk before he was moved to Florida, but it doesn't sound like that went anywhere. Obviously, we found out and learned yesterday that he did not have, when the trade went down, essentially, that he did not have the Rangers on his list and that he basically just wanted to go to Florida anyway. Now, Chris Drury wants to make his team tougher and nastier and is considering many ways to achieve that. Lafreniere's name has popped up. I'm going to try my very best, guys, to not crash completely out in this video. He still, Chris Drury wants to make this team nastier and tougher to play against. That was a problem, but that's not the problem. This team stinks. This team barely has any skill on it. Actually, in fact, you probably have too many guys that you think are tough, and that is the problem. And too many grinders, too much grit. And that is one of the problems. You need speed, you need skill to compete in the NHL with that toughness, of course, but that comes from within. All players need it, and you need to have dogs on your team in order to find success. But now to find that, you want to trade Alexis Lafrenière. You want to trade Alexis Lafrenière now, a guy who was on pace at the second half of the last season to score 90 points in a full season after Panarin was traded. That looks like he's going to come into this year and be a point a game, if not a 90-point player. Now you want to trade him on a sweetheart contract where he's making just north of $7 million with the cap going up, where it actually looks like he is coming into his own at the end of last year, and he's actually staying out before and after practices, all these things he was criticized for before. Now you want to trade him to go get toughness? You went out to go get toughness. You went out to go get JT Miller. That doesn't make any sense. Now, again, this did not come from Chris Drury. This came from Nick Perreault. It is pretty interesting. But before I dive deeper into some more reports, this video is brought to you by PrizePicks. And PrizePicks is America's #1 sports picks app that brings you that much closer to all the action on a nightly basis. We're going to get into some fun picks and promotions later on in this episode as the World Cup is well underway. And we got some fun picks for you guys later in the episode, so stay tuned for that. But make sure to download the app using the link in the description and using promo code DIGEST when you do so, as new users get $50 instantly in their lineups when they play their first $5. But to get back to it, trading Lafrenière at this point doesn't make any sense to me, guys. It really doesn't. And Nick Perreault goes on to say we should consider that Lafrenière has one more season without any trade protection in his contract before he gets a modified no trade list. So in theory, in that way, it makes sense. But he's really only coming into his own right now at the end of last season. We saw it with all of our eyes. We all saw it, guys. Now, you give the New York Rangers your best offer they can't turn down, and Lafrenière could be had. But is that offer out there? And the way that this initial quote makes it seem is like, hey, they're trying to achieve nastier and tougher, and Lafreniere's name has popped up. Like as if they want to trade him to acquire that. You're not going to get better that way. You're not. Now, maybe these are two completely separate thoughts, right? This quote is completely different. Let's say these are two completely separate thoughts. Lafrenière could be had, but they also want to get tougher and meaner. What are you trading Lafrenière for if he does turn into a 90-point player? What if you trade him away and he becomes that guy? Also, underratedly, Lafrenière, very physical. I have him in fantasy every year because he actually throws a ton of hits. And his biggest thing was that he has no consistency. That's always been his thing, right? He's been a half a point a game player. He's a first overall pick, and he's never been able to do anything consistently. But he does have some attributes to his game that he was showing at the end of last year that, yes, I can do this consistently. So why would you give up on the guy now? I at least see it through. So reports like this make me believe that Chris Drury, like, he's got to be sabotaging the team or something, right? Like, it's almost hard to believe sometimes that this is actually going on and this is actually what they want to achieve. Now, you can see everyone's talking about it. I want to get into some fan reaction. Why is this even a discussion? That contract is now a bargain. He's signed long-term. This is from Adam. He's 24 years old. What is the argument for trading him? There isn't. I don't think you should. Now, Laf was finally given the keys to the car, plays well, and now the New York Rangers are contemplating the idea of trading him. It's so Rangers, I can't take it. Also, this year's roster was built on the idea of getting nastier and tougher. That's the other thing. JT Miller, we're going to be nastier and tougher. No BS. Remember, no BS? No BS turned into no Braden Schneider, I guess, because now they want to trade him too. So I don't know what the goal is now. I don't understand it. Now, they were the third worst team in the NHL. Keep that in mind, by the way. They're picking fifth because of the draft lottery. They were the third worst team in the entire National Hockey League last year. How long before JT Miller, now, this is an interesting discussion that people are starting to talk about too, is a Panther. All of a sudden, the Panthers are Team USA. And a lot of folks are saying, let's make that trade happen. Well, that doesn't make the Rangers bigger and tougher. They want to keep JT Miller. There was also a report, and again, the fan reaction right now is crazy. Like, I can honestly say I'm so sick of the tougher and nastier nonsense. Just go get good hockey players. Yes, exactly. Learn how to draft and develop. What is the tougher and nastier thing? Winning cures everything, and then it'll come through in that way. All the guys will want to play hard, and you see it with the best teams. Winning cures that, and you have a lot of dogs on the team. It comes from within. It does not come. You do not acquire toughness. You can't bring in like two guys. The Leafs did this for 10 years. They would bring in guys they thought were going to bring toughness to the team, and it didn't work. It didn't work. You need good hockey players. You need to build a structured team, and that's what the Rangers are missing. Now, you can see this, from Phil. Tougher and nastier isn't wrong. It isn't wrong. But it's just you can't come at the expense of talent. And I think that's a problem and cycle that the Rangers are getting stuck in and have been. I've ranted about this on the channel for years at this point. But there was a report as well, like I was saying before, that JT Miller, it was going to be the Rangers essentially were going to use JT Miller as like this beacon to acquire guys from Team USA. And now it looks like Trocheck's going to be gone too. So it's actually had the opposite effect, not directly, but this is insane. And you could see from Phil Kosher too, there was a report like a month or two ago suggesting that the Rangers plan to use Miller to help recruit Team USA players to New York. Right now, it feels a lot more likely that the Panthers recruit him to South Beach first. Now, if they could move that contract, JT Miller's contract, at this point, I know they just named him the captain, you're headed for a retool. You're headed for a retool, right? So maybe you're more open to that. Anyway, there's a lot going on. You have to wonder what Chris Drury, what on earth this guy is actually thinking. But again, once again, this video is brought to you by Prize Picks, and Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app. And let's get into some picks now, guys. The World Cup is well underway. And for those of you guys who don't know, I am Portuguese. So we're focusing on the game later today. Portugal versus Uzbekistan. And Cristiano Ronaldo has to respond at this point. Look what Messi's doing. He has to respond. He needs a goal, and it was a pretty tough first performance in that first game. Yes, they did not lose, but a tie is a bit ridiculous. So I'm going to go more on Ronaldo. First of all, scoring. I think he's going to score. Also going more on shots on target. I think he's going to have more than 2. That is for sure, because he's going to try and score a hat trick. And again, goals I think is easy. I don't think Uzbekistan is going to score. I would not pick Bernardo Silva. I don't think he's actually going to play that much to score in that game. Although there's some interesting picks here too. Passes attempted, I'm going to go more for Vitinha. He's going to have more than 115. I think he had almost 800 himself last game. That's a joke. But Cristiano Ronaldo, pass attempts, I'm going to go more on that as well. So some interesting ones there. And I think Diogo Costa is going to see some action too. So I'm going to go more on 1.5 saves as well. And some pretty good returns, by the way, guys, going on right now on the app. It's, tomorrow is Taco Tuesday. So discounted projections on the board all day long. So take advantage of that. Later today. I am recording this before. Later today, it is Taco Tuesday. So discounted projections on the board all day long, as the game is later today. But earlier in the tournament, they actually had Cristiano Ronaldo, not even earlier in the tournament, before the tournament started, at more for 2.5 goals. So anyone who took more on that, hopefully he scores later today. There's some interesting payout options going on there. But make sure to download the app using the link in the description and using promo code DIGEST when you do so, as new users get $50 instantly in their lineups when you play your first $5. But let me know how you feel in the comments below about this new report and some of the quotes that came out from Nick Kypreos, that the Rangers want to get meaner, tougher, and that's going to solve all the problems. And let's trade Lafrenière, one of our best young players who looks like he might actually become a superstar next year. Let's trade that guy. That makes a ton of sense. I don't know. Makes you wonder if Chris Drury is sabotaging this team sometimes.